Welcome to a journey of life-changing Stoic wisdom, where ancient teachings are brought to life to tackle the challenges of our modern world. Imagine gaining the tools to find resilience in times of hardship, to achieve an inner peace that withstands chaos, and to cultivate strength that remains unshaken by the trials of life. In this content, we will explore the teachings of Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca, timeless insights that don't just inform, but transform. These lessons are here to help you navigate your path with dignity, poise, and purpose. Let's dive in and discover how these profound ideas can reshape the way we face life's obstacles, one step at a time. The wisdom of the Stoics is not merely theoretical, it is practical guidance that you can apply to your everyday life, offering clarity and direction during moments of uncertainty. Chapter 1. Embracing Adversity with Grace. Have you ever faced a moment so challenging, a crisis so overwhelming, that it felt as if your entire world had come to a halt? You look around, and everyone else seems to continue their lives as if nothing happened. The disconnect between your inner turmoil and the world outside can feel isolating, even harsh. Yet Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, offers wisdom for exactly these moments. He wrote, "Begin each day by telling yourself, 'Today I shall meet with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness. All these things happen due to the offender's ignorance of what is good or evil.'" Aurelius' quote serves as a reminder that challenges and adversities are part of life. The world may not pause for our struggles, but if we prepare ourselves with a Stoic mindset, we can face these situations with greater grace. Marcus teaches us to start each day with realistic expectations, acknowledging that difficulties are inevitable, but seeing them as opportunities for growth. He encourages us to attribute negative behavior not to malice, but to ignorance, which helps us maintain our composure and respond with empathy. This approach can fundamentally change how we view hardships. Imagine a day when nothing seems to go your way. Your car breaks down, you argue with a loved one, or receive bad news at work. Instead of being caught off guard, expecting adversity allows you to maintain a sense of calm. You can move through difficulties, not with bitterness, but with the resilience and wisdom that Aurelius emphasizes, an acceptance that, while you cannot control others' actions, you can certainly control your response. When we let go of the expectation that the world should cater to our needs during tough times, we begin to build resilience. The Stoics teach us that self-reliance is essential. Often we look for comfort in external sources, people, material things, or circumstances, to alleviate our pain. But Aurelius reminds us that true strength lies in cultivating our own philosophy and values, enabling us to withstand any storm. Consider a time in your life when you faced a loss or significant hardship. Perhaps you expected others to step up and support you, but instead you found yourself alone. This feeling of isolation can be devastating if you hinge your well-being on others. But Stoic philosophy helps us recognize that even when the world continues moving without us, it's okay. The real journey is internal, and overcoming such challenges leads to profound personal growth. It's in these moments of solitude and self-reflection that we become truly anti-fragile, unbreakable, resilient, and wiser. Aurelius reminds us to accept life's indifference as a reality, not an affront. By doing so, we become stronger, like a tree swaying in the storm, its roots growing deeper. Instead of waiting for the chaos to end, we should focus on stabilizing ourselves. Let every challenge be an opportunity to fortify your spirit. Life doesn't pause, but you can adapt and continue, emerging stronger on the other side. It is this transformation of adversity into fuel for growth that characterizes the Stoic way of living. Chapter 2. Overcoming Emotional Paralysis. Have you ever felt utterly unmotivated or discouraged, even though you knew you should be taking action? This feeling is something we all encounter at some point, a kind of emotional paralysis that keeps us from moving forward. The Stoics offer profound advice for these moments. They remind us that while we may not have control over our emotions, we can always control how we act upon them. Marcus Aurelius famously said, "The universe is change, our life is what our thoughts make it." This quote encourages us to shift our focus from waiting to feel motivated to creating our own drive through our actions. Life doesn't stop for us when we're feeling low. The world keeps moving, and time doesn't wait. The Stoics encourage us to take action despite our emotions. Think of it this way. Emotions are fleeting, like passing clouds. But the discipline to take a step forward comes from a deeper part of who you are. Consider a marathon runner facing exhaustion at mile 20, a point often called the wall. They feel like they can't go any further. But instead of succumbing to this feeling, the runner draws on their mental strength, pushes through the discomfort, and finishes the race. In our lives, we too face moments where our emotions tell us to give up. In these moments, the Stoic response is to act regardless of how we feel, knowing that the feeling is temporary, but the outcome is lasting. When you feel discouraged, reconnect with your deeper why, the reason you started your journey in the first place. Life's current will continue to flow with or without your participation. By taking control of your actions, you reclaim your power. Every step you take, even when it's hard, leads to profound freedom. You become the author of your story, not a passive bystander. The Stoics teach us that resilience isn't about ignoring emotions, but about deciding that they won't dictate our lives. It is important to recognize that action breeds motivation, not the other way around. By taking the first step, no matter how small, you create momentum. This momentum then propels you forward, even on days when motivation is scarce. By making progress your focus, instead of waiting for the perfect emotional state, you create a pattern of resilience that helps you overcome emotional paralysis. Chapter 3. Finding Strength in Solitude. As social beings, we often crave constant companionship and fear solitude. But the Stoics, particularly Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, teach us about the beauty and power of aloneness. They remind us that while relationships and community are important, true peace and fulfillment come from within. Aurelius wrote, "Our pain and distress stem not from external events but from our judgments and perspectives." This liberating insight empowers us to find peace even when we're alone. Imagine a time when you lost a close friend or went through a breakup. The initial reaction might be one of abandonment, an unbearable loneliness that seems impossible to escape. The Stoic approach invites us to look deeper. Are we in pain because of the loss itself, or because we have attached our happiness to the presence of another person? By reframing this perspective, we can begin to see solitude not as a punishment, but as a chance for profound self-discovery and growth. Solitude allows us to explore our values, passions, and creativity without external noise. It gives us the space to realign with who we are and who we want to become. The art of spending time alone is not about giving up on relationships, but about nurturing a relationship with yourself. In doing so, we become less dependent on others for our happiness, more resilient, and ultimately more capable of authentic connection when we do engage with the world. Solitude also provides the opportunity to confront our fears and insecurities. When we are alone, we face ourselves without distractions. This is where true strength is forged. It is through this confrontation that we begin to understand ourselves better, to see our weaknesses and strengths, and to grow. The ability to be alone and comfortable with oneself is a powerful form of freedom. A freedom from the need for constant validation or distraction. Chapter 4. The Power of Emotional Sovereignty. In the rough tides of daily life, one of the most invaluable virtues is the ability to remain calm under pressure. Marcus Aurelius said, "If any external thing pains you, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your judgment about it." Imagine being stuck in a traffic jam after a long, exhausting day. It's easy to let frustration take over, but the Stoics would tell us that the traffic is a neutral event. Our agitation comes from the stories we tell ourselves about being inconvenienced. By practicing the ability to separate our immediate emotional reaction from the event itself, we gain emotional sovereignty. This means we don't allow our peace to be stolen by situations beyond our control. Instead of allowing our emotions to dictate our response, we choose to respond thoughtfully. It's not about suppressing emotions, but about developing the capacity to decide how we want to act on them. This ability to pause and reflect, rather than react impulsively, is key to navigating life with calm and clarity. Emotional sovereignty allows us to navigate life with greater confidence. When we understand that our emotions are responses to our thoughts, we can begin to change those thoughts. This empowers us to change our emotional landscape. For instance, instead of thinking this traffic is ruining my day, we might think this is an opportunity to practice patience. By reframing our thoughts, we alter our emotional response and maintain our inner peace. The Stoics also teach us that this practice of emotional sovereignty does not mean detachment from emotions altogether, but rather developing a healthy and balanced relationship with them. Emotions are a natural part of our human experience, but we do not have to be controlled by them. When we cultivate emotional sovereignty, we find the strength to face even the most challenging circumstances with poise and clarity. Chapter 5. Building resilient relationships. One of the most common sources of pain in relationships is unmet expectations. We often expect others to behave in a certain way, and when they don't, we feel disappointed or betrayed. The Stoics teach us to let go of these expectations. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that we can't control how others act. We can only control our responses. Think of a time when a friend let you down. Perhaps you expected them to be there for you during a difficult moment, but they weren't. It's natural to feel hurt, but Stoic wisdom encourages us to release our rigid expectations. When we let go of the idea that others must meet our specific needs, we open ourselves to appreciate them for who they are, rather than who we want them to be. This shift leads to more fulfilling and resilient relationships, where we accept each other with grace and without unrealistic demands. Building resilient relationships also means recognizing that everyone is on their own journey, with their own struggles and challenges. By adopting a mindset of compassion and understanding, we create space for others to be human. We stop seeing their failures as personal betrayals and start viewing them as part of their growth. This perspective not only strengthens our relationships, but also reduces the emotional burden we carry. Another important aspect of building resilient relationships is communication. The Stoics valued honest, clear communication that respects both parties. By communicating our needs without attaching unrealistic expectations, we foster healthier interactions and prevent misunderstandings. The resilience in relationships comes not from avoiding conflict, but from handling it with wisdom, empathy, and a willingness to grow together. Chapter 6. The Virtue of Patience. First impressions can be misleading, and quick judgments often miss the mark. The Stoics teach us that true discernment requires patience. It's easy to judge someone based on one interaction, but real understanding unfolds over time. Epictetus advises us to give others the space to reveal their true nature. This approach not only leads to deeper connections, but also saves us from unnecessary misunderstandings and disappointments. Patience is not passive, it is an active state of being. It requires us to hold back our impulses, to refrain from jumping to conclusions, and to allow life to unfold at its own pace. By cultivating patience, we also learn to be patient with ourselves. Growth takes time, and setbacks are inevitable. The Stoic practice of patience teaches us to accept these setbacks as part of the journey rather than as failures. By practicing patience, we learn to approach life with a sense of calm and composure. Whether we are waiting for an outcome, facing a challenging person, or dealing with our own limitations, patience allows us to remain steady. It helps us navigate the ebbs and flows of life without getting caught up in frustration or disappointment. True patience is a form of wisdom. It allows us to see the bigger picture and trust in the process of life. Chapter 7. Cultivating Inner Peace. Through focus. You will have a peaceful life when you mind your own business, or says the Stoics. This doesn't mean isolating yourself from others, but rather focusing on what is within your control, your thoughts, actions, and attitudes. Too often, we get caught up in trying to influence things beyond our sphere of control, which only leads to frustration. By centering your attention on your own actions and inner growth, you find true serenity. Focusing on what you can control allows you to channel your energy productively. Instead of worrying about what others think of you or trying to change external circumstances, you invest your energy in your own development. This shift in focus brings a sense of empowerment as you begin to see the positive changes that arise from taking responsibility for your own life. When we focus on our own growth, we become more resilient and better equipped to face the challenges of life. By avoiding the distractions of other people's business and staying true to our values, we cultivate a sense of inner peace that cannot be easily shaken. This practice also helps us to remain compassionate towards others, as we no longer feel the need to judge or control them. Instead, we focus on becoming the best version of ourselves. Chapter 8: Unshakable Self-Worth. The Stoics remind us that seeking external validation is a path to suffering. Epictetus tells us to focus on what is in our control and to let go of the need for others' approval. When we root our self-worth in our own actions and values, rather than how others perceive us, we find a more stable and fulfilling sense of self. True self-worth comes from living in alignment with your values. When you act with integrity, show kindness, and pursue wisdom, you cultivate a sense of worth that is not dependent on external factors. This internal validation is far more enduring than the fleeting approval of others. It allows you to remain steady, even in the face of criticism or rejection. The Stoics teach us that our worth is inherent and not something that needs to be earned from others. By recognizing our own value, we free ourselves from the need to seek constant approval. This unshakable self-worth allows us to navigate life with confidence and resilience. Knowing that our value is not dependent on others' opinions or circumstances, it empowers us to live authentically in alignment with who we truly are. Chapter 9: Guarding Your Inner Garden. Most people will give you advice without knowing your journey. The Stoics remind us to be discerning about the voices we allow to influence us. Only those who embody the values and qualities we aspire to should be allowed to shape our decisions. By guarding our inner garden from the noise of uninformed opinions, we preserve our peace and integrity. Think of your mind as a garden. Just as you would be careful about what you plant in your garden, you should be mindful of the thoughts and influences you allow into your mind. By choosing to nurture thoughts that align with your values, you create a mental environment that supports your growth and well-being. Guarding your inner garden also means setting boundaries. It is important to know when to say no to negative influences, whether they come from people, media, or even your own inner critic. By consciously choosing what to let in and what to keep out, you create a space that fosters positivity, growth, and resilience. Your mind is your sanctuary. Tend to it with care, and it will become a source of strength. Chapter 10: The Power of Mentorship. Choose mentors wisely. Epictetus tells us to align ourselves with those who live the kind of life we want to lead. By surrounding ourselves with people who embody wisdom, resilience, and integrity, we ensure that the influences we take in help us grow in the direction we wish to move. A good mentor does not just provide advice. They model the values and behaviors we aspire to. They challenge us to grow, to think critically, and to act with courage. By seeking out mentors who live in alignment with their principles, we gain a clear example of what is possible and a guide to help us navigate our own journey. Mentorship is not limited to formal relationships. We can also learn from the example set by others, authors, historical figures, or even peers who inspire us. The key is to seek out those who embody the qualities we wish to cultivate in ourselves. By learning from their experiences, successes, and even failures, we gain insight into our own path and the courage to pursue our highest potential. Chapter 11: Embracing the flow of change. Change is inevitable. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." When we let go of our attachment to the way things used to be or the way we think they should be, we open ourselves to new possibilities. Embracing change allows us to grow and adapt, making room for new opportunities that wouldn't have come if things had stayed the same. Change can be unsettling, but it is also the source of growth. When we resist change, we limit our potential. By embracing it, we open ourselves to experiences that enrich our lives and help us become more resilient. The Stoics teach us that the only constant in life is change, and by accepting this truth, we can find peace amidst the uncertainty. Think of the seasons as they change throughout the year. Each season brings its own beauty and challenges. In the same way, each phase of our lives has something valuable to offer, even if it doesn't always match our expectations. By embracing the flow of change, we learn to adapt, grow, and find beauty in the unfolding journey of life. Chapter 12. The Strength of Humility. Success can sometimes inflate our egos, making us forget the journey and the people who helped us along the way. Epictetus warns, it's impossible for a person to begin to learn what they think they already know. Humility keeps us grounded, open to growth, and connected to others. It's not just about recognizing our achievements, but about appreciating the contributions of those who supported us. Humility allows us to keep learning. When we acknowledge that we don't have all the answers, we remain open to new knowledge and perspectives. It also helps us connect with others on a deeper level, as we recognize the value in their experiences and insights. True strength lies not in pretending to know everything, but in being willing to learn from everyone. Humility also reminds us that our success is often built on the support of others, mentors, friends, family, and colleagues who contributed to our journey. By acknowledging their role, we stay connected to our humanity and remain grateful. This gratitude not only keeps us grounded, but also deepens our relationships as we recognize the interconnectedness of our shared experiences. Chapter 13. The Courage to Face Fear. Fear is a natural part of life, but the Stoics teach us that our perception of fear often limits our potential. Seneca once wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." By facing our fears directly, we realize they are often less daunting than we make them out to be. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to act in spite of it. Facing fear requires us to step out of our comfort zone. It is in these moments of discomfort that we grow the most. Each time we confront a fear, we expand our capabilities and build confidence in our ability to handle whatever comes our way. The Stoics encourage us to see fear as an opportunity for growth rather than a barrier to be avoided. When we embrace fear and act anyway, we become stronger and more resilient. Each small victory over fear builds momentum, allowing us to tackle bigger challenges with confidence. Courage is a muscle that grows with use, and the more we exercise it, the less hold fear has over us. By facing our fears, we open up new possibilities and discover strengths we never knew we had. Chapter 14. Practicing Daily Reflection. The Stoics believed in the importance of self-reflection. Marcus Aurelius often wrote in his journal, reflecting on his actions, thoughts, and growth. By making time each day to reflect on our choices and how we responded to challenges, we develop a deeper understanding of ourselves and continuously refine our character. Daily reflection allows us to identify areas for improvement and to celebrate our successes. It keeps us accountable to our values and helps us stay on track in our pursuit of a virtuous life. By reflecting on our actions, we learn from our experiences and ensure that we are always moving closer to the person we want to become. Incorporating daily reflection into your routine doesn't have to be complicated. It could be as simple as taking a few minutes at the end of each day to write down your thoughts or asking yourself what went well and what could have been done differently. This practice not only fosters personal growth, but also helps you develop a deeper sense of self-awareness, guiding you towards greater wisdom and fulfillment. Chapter 15. The Art of Gratitude. Gratitude is a powerful tool for maintaining perspective and inner peace. The Stoics remind us to appreciate what we have, even amidst difficulties. When we focus on the blessings in our lives rather than what is lacking, we cultivate a more positive outlook and are better equipped to handle challenges with resilience. Practicing gratitude shifts our focus from what is missing to what is present. It helps us find joy in the small moments and appreciate the beauty of life, even during tough times. By regularly expressing gratitude, we foster a sense of contentment and fulfillment that is not dependent on external circumstances. Gratitude also strengthens our relationships. When we express appreciation for the people in our lives, we deepen our connections and foster a spirit of generosity. The Stoics teach us that by cultivating gratitude, we not only enrich our own lives, but also positively impact those around us. It is a simple yet profound practice that helps us remain grounded, content, and open to the abundance that life has to offer. The path of Stoic wisdom. As we wrap up this journey through the teachings of Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca, Take a moment to reflect on how these principles can be integrated into your own life. Embracing adversity with grace, overcoming emotional paralysis, finding strength in solitude, letting go of expectations, and cultivating patience, humility, and gratitude. These are not just abstract concepts, but practical tools that can transform how you experience the world. The Stoic path is one of resilience, self-reliance, and inner peace. By focusing on what you can control, embracing change, and taking responsibility for your own growth, you can navigate life's ups and downs with grace and emerge stronger, no matter what obstacles you face. Remember that true freedom lies not in controlling external circumstances, but in mastering your inner world. Embrace these teachings and discover the strength within to overcome any challenge.